Welcome back to another reaction video, and today we're checking out an artist that no matter how many hours I dedicated over no matter how many lifespans, I would never be able to do a tenth of what this human being can do. It is the incredibly talented, effortlessly so, Ichika Nito. And this one is a song called Metaphor featuring Feryquitous? I'm sure I'm butchering it, but I'm excited nonetheless. Let's get our hands, ears, and hearts dirty. Okay, while I'm getting swallowed by a whale, let's take a moment here. Go back just a little bit so I can be engulfed once again by the music, the whale, and the video. I'm assuming this has got to do with some kind of anime or something like that. I mean, why else wouldn't it be? It wouldn't be the first time that an artist has created like animation and delivered graphics for their stuff, but I'm assuming that's the case. And I'm also assuming that Feryquitous is the vocalist because I think typically his is just instrumental. Now, we're not going to dive into the technical side of things and trying to rip apart and explain everything he does because we don't have enough time or air. So I'll just say this. It is quite easy to dismiss a lot of what people like this do as noise. And it's still pleasant noise, but it's like it's easy to look at it because of how overwhelming and intimidating it is and just kind of back off. And that's okay. Not everyone has to like everything, but I do want to state a couple of things. One, the reason that there's such clarity in what they do is when you're a young guitarist, you realize very quickly that if you add the right kind of distortion with the right kind of decay, you can hide a lot of your mistakes. You can have a slip on a scale or like a quick run, or when you're switching from tapping back to pick bass stuff or something like that, you can kind of hide errors if you have the right effects on. And this is typically a live trick, right? So you don't do it in studio. You sit there doing hundreds of takes until you get it right. But he's playing with, yes, there's a drive on it, but there's also a lot of clean element to it. And it actually does the opposite of hide mistakes. So you have the benefit of doing that is that the clarity of the notes is just superb and much better for the listener. But it's harder to play and nail because any fraction of an error around it is instantly identifiable and noticeable. It's like everything gets drawn to it if there is a slip. The other thing is, he's not playing just a single track here. There's layers to what he's doing. If you've ever seen any of his live stuff, I encourage you to go and do that. He can pull off all the things you're hearing and more live. It's not going to be as controlled chaos as it is because he's playing over at least two, possibly three. I'm not including things like synth and percussion in this, but like at least two or three lead work, very chaotic polyrhythms. And it's hard, meaning multiple rhythms. That polyrhythm is two or more rhythms that are not derived from the same initial bass or perceivably don't have much to do with each other. They are in the same tone and they do work together as quite a pleasant sound. But the his ability to have that kind of complexity, and I've spoken about this, like the use of arpeggios. So that's when you take a chord, you can just play a C, but you can also pick the individual notes that make up that C, and you can string those out to cause a melody when you start intertwining the reverse order, and you kind of leave some bits out and you syncopate it. And so his ability to do that at a very high level, a very practiced level, and he looks incredibly calm when he does it, to do that while having the understanding that there's this other completely underived melody that can work with it is pretty special. It is a composer mindset. I'll say that. Now, where's that whale? Oh! Good God Almighty. That's not fair. Yeah, there's a lot going on there that is, they're doing like a lot of vocal reversals, like exponential phase and a reversed piece at the start of a vocal. So as a symbol, you would hit it, it goes, you reverse that, you put an exponential phase, you get, they're doing a lot of that kind of stuff at the beginning of things. There's a lot of emphasis on trying to create more chaos to try and enhance that. And that's because it's meant to accompany whatever the visuals were. And I mean whatever that show is, whatever that thing is. But it's so impressive, and it's kind of hard to speak about in a way that someone who isn't a musician will understand. But when you're learning to play guitar, you learn scales, and you learn, there's many different kinds. There's Middle Eastern, there's blues, there's jazz, there's your technical chromatic scales, and you can do a 3-5-2-3-5. You know, you can run the scale all the way down and back up again, and that's how you practice your finger dexterity, flexibility, your muscle memory, and your you typically do this with a click track, which is a metronome. So that you can get quicker and quicker and quicker and quicker while not losing accuracy. That's something that people don't pay attention to. But the thing I'll say is he's doing some runs and he's doing some scale work in there, which is like intertwining so many standard, typical theory-based scales, but it's like having no disregard for the start and end of them and shifting through all kinds of fifths and major. It's a whole can of worms where, for somebody who practices active listening, when I watch it, I purposefully don't listen too deeply at it because it's too daunting a task. it's like trying to solve world hunger to try and figure out what he's doing. It's an impossible task for any one person. So I typically would listen to that more just from a enjoyment point of view, but you do catch yourself out. And I think one of the things they've done quite well is percussively going from that very drum and bass oriented beat into something that breaks up more. So it's like, so there's syncopated bits in there as well. And I'm not going to win any beatbox awards, but hopefully that gets the point across. It's a very technical thing done at a level where it's impressive to anybody, regardless of their knowledge or background. And I think that's quite hard to do. So send more Ichika Nito. We are recording this live on Twitch. So if you want to join us, it's every Friday, Arizona time, 1 p.m. We'd love to see you here. Till then, bye and have a fantastic day. May it be less complicated than this piece of music.